Hey, it's Navid here, and in this session, you learn how to make AI work for you 24/7 by leveraging the power of chatbots. Essentially, making sales for you on autopilot. You can power your customer support. You can enhance the value of your courses. I'm here with the creator of the world's best chatbots, Matt Leitz, and he's worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and creators to implement this in their businesses. And what he's about to share is pretty mind-blowing and very advanced at times, but there's some really incredible things you can do. And you can get started very simple, and then you can add on to this. So with that being said, warm welcome to the session, Matt.
Hey, what up, Navid? How are you?
Doing well. I'm really excited to dive into. I know you're big in the world of chatbots and how to make AI and ChatGPT work for you 24/7. So maybe you can get into a little bit how you got your start and got into the world of AI and especially chatbots.
Funny because it's many things in life happened accidentally, and it happened when I was failing miserably. I had followed a passion. I had a company that was doing well. We grew it to about 15 million a year, still a pretty small business, but I left it to follow a passion of designing board games. And I was really just struggling. I designed a board game, was struggling to sell it, and I had the bright idea to acquire the domain boardgames.com. And I thought, how can you fail with the name boardgames.com? I figured it out how to fail, and I failed pretty miserably. And in the process of doing that, there was one thing that worked extremely well. And that was that we built a chatbot that was just absolutely gangbusters, worked like crazy. And once we did that, I had a few other businesses that we built chatbots for. And back in the day when we were building chatbots on Facebook, they used to rank all the bots. And every bot that we built was ranked like number 1 or number 2 in the entire world in its category. So we kind of knew we had something special, and I lost a lot of money in the board game business. So we went full-time into chatbots, and obviously that led into AI, and here we are today.
Roughly what year was that when you got your start with chatbots?
I think it was 1987. No, I'm just kidding. I think it was 2017, 2018.
Okay, so you've been in the game for a while. And with AI, how do you amplify this? How was chatbots from the beginning? Maybe you can give an overview for people who are not too familiar.
I would love this. This is, if you want to understand chatbots, this is you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Really, everybody's very excited about artificial intelligence and obviously what they can do for a chatbot, and ChatGPT obviously completely broke the mold with everything. The important thing to realize is that when you're dealing with a chatbot, depending on what platform you're on, right? Because a chatbot can run on a website, it can run on Facebook, it can run on Instagram, and it can run on text message. So depending on the platform that it's running, you have different sort of capabilities and different kinds of restrictions. But really, at the end of the day, a human being can interact with the chatbot in one of two ways. Way number 1 is to type in text, and way number 2 is to click buttons. All right. Not every platform allows you to have buttons. For example, there's no buttons on a mobile phone. But we really made our mark with social media chatbots. So primarily on Facebook. And what's great is you can have buttons, meaning that you give the user options. And then if you've never used a bot building platform, it's a lot like a lot of email marketing platforms. You can imagine you don't need to use code. Imagine you're just dragging boxes. And if you have the question, what kind of ice cream do you like? You could say vanilla as a button, chocolate as a button, and strawberry as a button. And then whatever button they click on, it just leads them down a different path. So if you can just imagine building this hierarchy tree, they usually refer to that as a bot flow. And the thing is right now, the majority of people who are getting into this wave of new chatbots are focusing on AI, which is awesome. But the reality of it is you'll never be able to train an AI bot to create as good of an experience as you can when you're using a flow, right? Mm-hmm. So we've built chatbot flows for everything from analyzing website SEO to flipping houses, and you name it, everything in between. What's great is that at Botbuilders, we teach people how to do what we call hybrid AI, which is to take a fusion of these bot flows and artificial intelligence and put the two together so that you can get the best of both worlds. so that when you can control the conversation by giving people options, they're going down a path. But if they start typing, the AI kicks in, right? So you got both the flow and the AI, and they're working together in perfect harmony. And that's how you build a world-class chatbot. The truth is very, very, very few people are out there doing it. But now that you understand that, you get the basics of how chatbots work more than most people.
I love this explanation. I think the first time I built my own was in 2019 when I did a summit with ManyChat, I think. That was, I built that and it was like pretty nice. It was a simple one. It was just like sign up for the summit and they had a few questions and it kind of sent them, down this path. I guess that's how a lot of people got into it. I don't know that's what he used in the...
It's funny that you should say that because so ManyChat, spelled ManyChat, is the #1 chatbot builder in the world. And they allow you to build a bot on all of these different platforms, zero coded needed. Literally, you just drag boxes around. And we were, even though it's funny because now you say, wow, you've been doing this a long time. Well, not really. I was really kind of late to start in this chatbot building thing because I thought it was a bunch of hogwash, frankly, because I misunderstood the intent and the reason. I thought it was to replace human beings. I'm very different than most people out there. Most people you'll hear are saying, oh, get a bot so you can fire people. I say, screw that. Get a bot, get AI so you can hire more people and you can grow, empower people with AI. Take away the dumb jobs, but then give the bots to the people, give the AI to the people so you can hire more people. So basically anybody that ever comes to me that's like, hey, how can I cut my staff? I say, just don't work with us because that's not what I'm into. I much prefer people. That's why I started a board game company. So when we got started in bots, we're looking at the different bot platforms. And when we found ManyChat, we're like, this is really awesome. And I'll just tell a quick story here. And this is why you get off your butt, and this is why you have conversations, right? So we went to Traffic and Conversion Summit, right? Which I'm sure a lot of your listeners know is one of the largest marketing conferences in North America. And we're there, and it was when ManyChat was all the talk of the town. And I remember that the founder, Mike Yang, was standing in the lobby, and you know how it is, like, one of these things, it's like a celebrity. It might as well be, a rock star or something that's there. And I waited my turn politely, and I explained to him what we were doing with chatbots. And at the time, I didn't realize that we were using bots different than everybody. We were actually making our own little pseudo AI with logic trees, right? And it was so crazy. It was so hard to do. And anyway, long story short, when I told him what we did, I'll give him all the credit in the world because he snuck away from the crowd, pulled me to the side, and sat there for at least an hour taking notes and feedback that I had for him on the product because he knew I was a user that was really pushing the edge cases of it. From that, we ended up having the privilege of, they hired us to build their chatbot on their platform, which was really cool. And that was several years ago. And I think they've, since had a changing of the guard over there, but it was just a really, really cool experience. And, that kind of just a reminder that when you just immerse yourself into something, we were just fanatical about it. We could not accept the fact that a chatbot could not have a good conversation. And we figured out how to, now a lot of the stuff that we did, we've now reinvented because of AI, right? But it just was us just going deep on the thing. And, we just always tried to stay, ahead of what everybody else is doing. So right now I'll just tell you're going to see the same thing happen. This is my prediction. Okay. When ManyChat and a lot of these flow-based bots were starting, it was all this hype. Are you familiar with the hype cycle, Navid?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this thing that all these technologies follow. So it always, ramps up, right? And then it hits this peak, and then the hype starts going down, right? And then it gradually catches up, and the hype meets the reality. Well, what happens is like, there's just all this hype, but it's, number one, the tech may or may not be there, but people don't know how to utilize it. So you're going to start seeing pretty soon, we're probably at about the peak. I don't know, right? Where you're going to see the hype on AI is going to start to subside. A lot of people are going to start to say, well, this isn't really all that good, or I tried to use it or whatever. So we were kind of on the latter half of the part of the hype for the chatbot thing. So everybody else is just getting out of the game, and we're just like, let's just go for it. And as you know, while the hype is doing this, the money is doing this, right? It's just continuing to go up. And so you're going to see a lot of small businesses right now dabble with this stuff and then get out of it. Okay. I've been very fortunate to I've hit some things wrong. I shared one of the stories of the things I did wrong, right? Clearly board games was not a trend, right? But the few things that I've hit, I've really tried to disconnect yourself from the hype. Don't listen to all the, right? Because it's like all these people, even the gurus who are saying they know this stuff, they don't know a damn thing about it. It's really kind of sad. You don't basically kind of do the opposite of what a lot of these people are saying, and don't worry about what's happening. Just realize this isn't Matt Leitz talking. This is the smartest, richest people in the world are all in on the AI. So the money is just going to keep going like this. The hype's going to go up, the hype's going to go down, but the money is just going to keep going. So if it resonates with you, right? And it didn't resonate with me at first until I realized the power of it, right? The power isn't to exclude people. The power is to connect people. The power is to, yes, you want to build a bot so it can answer FAQs and you can reduce your customer support. Great. Then what happens? Well, maybe your customer support can actually have real conversations with human beings and maybe even make some sales, right? And now what's happening is your salespeople are pre-qualifying people and there's a conversation happening before they get on the phone. So it just, to me, it's about moving it's using all of this technology to create more human experiences. And that is when you're going to win. It's the opposite of what everybody else is saying. So don't be thinking of, the sky is falling, people are losing their jobs, whatever. The jobs that are being lost should be lost. Let's create more jobs that are going to create real meaning and really move the needle, because AI could be the thing that changes the game in terms of your marketing, your sales, and your support. It has the power to do all three of those things.
I love your approach to this. I think it's refreshing to hear, because a lot of people say, hey, AI is all the rage, of course. But I think, as you said, it's going to decline a little bit and people might get out. But that's usually because they don't know how to use the technology. They don't know how to leverage it the right way. And I think that's maybe they don't have the right tools or whatever, or they don't know how to use it. It's the basic things like ChatGPT and things like that, or they don't leverage more advanced things like you set up with the chatbots, which I'm sure we get into, because I hear you say a lot that you do it differently than everyone else or a lot of people. So I'm interested to hear what are some good ways to do it with a hybrid approach, but what's some bad ways to do this? Maybe we can get into that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing is you just got to get some scope of what the heck is AI, because it's just all this stuff. There's a million tools out there. So, the first thing is just really decide, am I using this as a tool to grow my existing business, or am I looking at AI as an opportunity? Because if you're out there and you're looking for something, it's just the biggest no-brainer in history. This is exactly what you should be doing.
It's like the crypto, when it's like the boom market and things like that, everyone gets in. Usually I see a lot of these people talking about AI. I mean, I've done business for 10 plus years. I've been in business for a long time, but I see a lot of people who just jump from one thing to another. And that's usually when it's like a hype. They go into the hype.
I want to separate it from crypto, right? Because I think that there's there's novel uses of, but it's just for all people like me that lost, I probably lost, I don't know, damn it, 200,000.
Tell me about it. I lost a lot too.
But this is not an investment, and this is not going anywhere. I mean, this is one of my favorite quotes. The CEO of Google said that AI will be more profound for humanity than the internet, electricity, and fire.
I think I put this quote or one of a similar quote on the sales page, from the CEO of Google on this landing page.
Just stop and think about that. This isn't like cryptocurrency, right? Currency and investment. A little bit of a stretch in my
because AI has a real use case, not a fad or something. Crypto might have a use case as well to a certain extent, but AI is powering a lot of things. It's already here and people are utilizing it.
It ain't going nowhere, man. So the thing is that the hype will do this, right? But it's just going to keep going like that. It's like the internet is the only thing to really even compare it to, right? And then to stop and think that this could be bigger than the internet. Because just think about it like this, okay? I stopped doing, I used to own an SEO company. There was a point in time where I was like, I thought I was the best search engine optimizer in the world. I really did. I was optimizing one-word phrases and being number one. Like I was good, right?
Yeah.
When I started these most recent series of companies, I stopped doing SEO. I stopped investing in it. You want to know why? Because it is the most inefficient. Like if it's amazing when we went from like the yellow pages and encyclopedia to Google, amazing, right? What do I want? I don't want a bunch of stuff, like that I'm now sorting through and I'm looking. I'm just like, I want to tell you something and I want you to give it to me in the best possible way that you can give it to me. Quick, down, dirty. And AI will and is right now replacing search engines. Now, the search engines are kind of like the engine for running this stuff until they're not, and they don't need to be, right? But it's no longer of like, it's not going to be like, well, we've got 10 spots on the first page. There ain't going to be no pages. Okay. And I'm really sorry for anybody that's in SEO right now. I'm not saying that it won't still be important, but what I'm saying is you got to figure out how are you showing up in the world of these, because right now they're probably just utilizing similar algorithms or just pulling from search engine results.
What's your prediction that what might happen? That might be in the future. Still, of course, the people are getting a lot of traffic from Google, but we don't know how it is.
There's always going to be this, like, you're going to just say something or type something, and then you're going to get back what you want. And there might still be some supplemental results if you want to check them, right? But just imagine that if ChatGPT or one of these platforms, one of these AI has the ability to take all of the results and give the best damn answer, it's just, there's just going to be less search traffic. It's just the reality, right? Like if I can get the answer that I want without having to go to somebody else's webpage to do it, because all of the knowledge in that webpage and the next one and the next one is all just fed by the AI. Why do I need all those webpages? Now, here's why I got into chat. Okay. Here's why I got into chat when everybody else was getting out of chat. I look at it and I go, damn, that is a form of communication that is really tough to beat. Now, you can say, well, what about voice? I don't have to type. Well, when was the last time you tried to get something done on Alexa of any significance? And this is what I always say. If I'm doing my dishes and I need to know what's the capital of Montana.
A lot of these tools, I think they're going to be replaced by AI and people using that instead to get summaries and things like that. So they would have to innovate a lot to stay current and be actually something people would consider valuable, I think.
Yep. And I don't know that they will. I just feel like there's going to be a better, easier way to do it. And, the thing is that, as long as you know where it's going, then you can get in front of it. So if your deal is SEO, you got some stuff to figure out. But I know a lot of your viewers and your listeners are creators in social media. And it's just what we do, using automation on these platforms is the biggest no-brainer in the world. And the thing that I would just really encourage you with is realizing that automation doesn't have to be an annoying, horrible experience. Right? It can it's not hard to make it cool. So let me give you an example. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, for example, you could have anytime that somebody leaves a comment on a story or on a post or sends a message or what, you can have automation kick in, and that automation can make sales, it can collect leads, it can do whatever you want to do. And the challenge is that when people first set this kind of stuff up, it can be a little bit of a poor experience, right? So just imagine it's like the same automation firing over and over, or it's just a very just poor user experience. If there's one specific piece of advice I could give you besides get started and actually use these tools, because you'd be crazy not to, it's not just for you, it's also for your users, give them feedback, help them connect. Because they're not really, they might be leaving you a comment or sending you a message, but they're not connected in your world until you capture the email or the phone number. Then they're truly connected. But just know when you use a platform, we've got a tool. ManyChat is a tool that we've used for years. You can very easily use conditional logic to make it a much cooler experience. And this is what I mean by that. Let's just say somebody leaves you a comment for the first time. You could just have it go, okay, it's the first time they've sent a message. Say this. This is what we'll do a lot of times for people. And then the second time somebody leaves a comment, you don't want to send that same message. That'd be annoying, and nobody's ever going to want to leave a comment on your stuff. But you can put a conditional logic that says, if they already received this message, you just use a tag or whatever, then, and what we'll do a lot of times is the second time is we'll do nothing, right? We'll just like do nothing. But then if they interact a third time, we'll say, hey, really appreciate, continue to come back. Here, I've got something for you. Here you go. So just know that you can create any experience that you can imagine, and it doesn't have to be this annoying, overbearing, repeating kind of thing. It can be very simple, lighthearted. And at the end of the day, you want to capture those other pieces of information so that you can really continue the conversation and not depend on Instagram or Facebook as the only means of being connected to these people.
It's interesting. What platforms would you recommend? Would you recommend getting started, let's say, on the social media platforms rather than, let's say, your website or something like that? I see a lot of people doing it with Instagram, with now the ManyChat, the automations to DM and things like that. That's actually, at least from my experience seeing it, I think like people who say link in bio is not working. It's actually everything is happening via the DMs and the automations, right? I'm just curious, what would you recommend to someone, a creator who's creating their first chatbot and doing this hybrid approach?
You know, the question is like, how many places do you want to be capturing leads and sales 24 hours a day with no effort? Probably on all of them, right? But where do you start? Well, you start with whatever one is the most value to you.
Where you are most active, essentially.
Yeah. If you got a website that's banging, get a chatbot on your website. If you got Instagram that's rocking, get it on there. But just
a tool different you might use. For example, for the website, I assume ManyChat is primarily social things, but I guess you could embed it on your website.
But you can embed it onto your website as well. Yeah. I don't want to self-promote, but there's a lot of different tools that besides ours that you can put on. Our platform is automator.ai. So that's if somebody wanted to get a tool to be able to run a chat. But the bottom line is just start with ManyChat because it's $15 a month. And obviously with anything, there's skills. I mean, our business is helping people implement these things. So it's not only quicker and easier, but it's also, and maybe at the end, if you want, we can share a link if you're open to it to let people be able to learn more. But if you wanted to do it, just get started and use it, and just don't be overwhelmed by all of the stuff that you can do. Just really focus on what's the first thing that I want to achieve. Okay, if somebody sends me a message, I want to have it respond back. Hey, thanks for sending me a message. I do check my inbox from time to time, but what I'd like to do in the meantime is give you a free ebook. If you want that ebook, click right here.
That's just commenting on your Instagram or following you or something like that. You could send something like that.
Yeah, any of those activities can trigger a message, outbound message to be sent. And then what you can do is once you have them on like Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, you can allow them to subscribe. So there's a button that you can, in ManyChat or these platforms, you can literally just add it to like, hey, if you want to get more messages from me and stay connected on Instagram, click right here. And they click right there. And then what happens is you have the capability to send an outbound message. Imagine like an email marketer, but on Instagram. You can imagine what the open rates are. I can't tell you what the average one is. I don't know. We have clients that do over 90%. Most people don't do 90%. But compare that to an email, or just if you're lucky, if you're doing 20%. So just imagine that now you're not just building an email list, but you're also building an outbound messaging list on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah. Before I was searching a little bit on this, and actually you can sync that to your email list in some ways. So it actually, you can get these leads or these subscribers onto your email list. I don't know if you do that as well.
Yeah, we've done that a few million times.
Yeah.
What's really cool is
I did it a few years ago. It was more complicated back then, I think. I had to set up a lot of like Zapier stuff, and it was complicated, the active campaign.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake. So depending on what, most email platforms just connect directly to ManyChat. But here's one of the cool things is if you've got somebody, and so far all we've really talked about is capturing leads from all of the people that are already interacting with you on these social platforms. But you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not a big social media guy, right? If you go look at my social media, you're not going to be impressed. I spend millions of dollars a year on ads, but I'm not a social person. Like I post things from time to time because my team constantly bothers me. And right now they're trying to get me to do another one. But to me, I spend money. And the cool thing is that you don't have to be a social media person to get a tremendous amount of value from this. So imagine that instead of saying, hey, you go to a landing page, let's say you're running a Facebook ad. You send somebody to a landing page, maybe 25% of people sign up for your whatever. Or you run an ad that goes into your chatbot, okay, on Facebook Messenger. And then the same offer comes up for the free ebook or whatever you're promoting. But what's cool is on Facebook, instead of them having to type in their email just pops right up because Facebook already has it. One click, right? We get like 70 to 85% opt-in rate on email. And it's just these ways of using these tools that most people don't even understand exist, right? It's the thing is that most people are using AI for incremental gain. You need to look at ways to use it different. You need AI working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not just, hey, it makes my writing a little bit easier. It makes my ad creation a little bit easier. No, you need to take AI and put it to work for you so that when you go to sleep at night and you wake up in the morning, there's more money in your bank account than when you lay down. And the only way that I know how to do that is by utilizing chatbots. And if you really think about all the different platforms you can build these things on, the fact you can do it with no code. And here's the other thing that I want to say, because like you said, when you get into these tools, obviously I would recommend learning from professionals and not trying to self-promote, but saves a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of heartache, and you're going to get better results. But if you really stop and think about it, even if you had to learn this thing by watching YouTube videos and doing it the hard way, you only got to build it once. Like we've got a client named Grant Cardone, and we built his chatbot 2.5 years ago. All right. We've maybe added a few little tiny things, but for the most part, all it's done is generated leads and make money with zero work, zero effort, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you can't figure out a way to be able to drive business results without your effort and without your team's effort, it's hard to get ahead in the highly competitive world. Just because AI is this new hypey thing, forget all that junk. Figure out not how to use AI yourself, but how to put AI to work. And when it's working for you, the whole world changes. If you have 0 employees, now you have 1 employee, or 3 employees, or 5 employees. If you have 10 employees, now you have 50 employees. So it's
interesting. And one thing you mentioned before was the flow-based, that you're using the hybrid approach, right? So I'm sure the audience listening in and watching this, they would be interested. What is the flow-based in that, and what is the AI in, let's say, Manage Chat and your tool and things like that? That would be interesting if you could break it down.
Yeah. Now, here's what I want to tell you. I just want to give a full disclaimer on this, is that there are lots of tools out there that build AI bots. ManyChat is, in my opinion, the best tool for building flow-based bots.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to get a hybrid of the two working together took our professional team months and months of work. It's a little tough to figure that out. Navid, if it's okay with you, I'll share. Do you want me to share how people can learn how to do this?
I can drop a link in the description as well. I'm happy to do that.
Drop a link. And then I'll also say, if you go to botbuilders.com/Navid, that's NAVID, we'll give you the crash course of how all this stuff works. And whether you end up working with us or not, doesn't matter. But at least at that point, you'll get it like, okay, cool. This is how the flow base works. Mm-hmm. This is how the AI works. And this is how they work together.
No, it's interesting. I just feel it's interesting because there's a lot of tools out there that you just have the AI, but you have no human approach. So it's just AI. Like, I feel, for example, I've dabbled with this because I like building a knowledge base of the information. I think that's pretty useful. But, for example, for my courses and things like that, I might upload the knowledge and then they can chat, they can find the videos easier and things like that. That's probably the easier approach in a members area that makes sense. But on, let's say, social media and like generating leads and sales, it's more difficult, right? So I think that's when the hybrid approach is really useful, which is what you're breaking down. So I don't know if you're using it for paid products as well. I'd just be curious to know.
Oh yeah, we use it for everything. Literally, right. I don't know of a use case that we haven't used for. It's just that if you can just imagine what is the experience that you would want to create for somebody, right? And then just recognize that, I mean, on the basic level, you can map it out and have a conversation. On a more advanced level, like when I mentioned that we have a chatbot that flips houses, right? For that, we go out and we integrate with a comping engine that pulls statistics. Or I mentioned one that analyzes website SEO. That goes out and integrates with a website analysis tool. But you don't need to get that fancy at first. First, all you got to do is just get the tool, set up the chat, and watch it work 24 hours a day, and then improve it if you want from there. The bottom line to all of this is you just got to start somewhere, right? Just get in there, figure out what is the most important function, and just get it working. Because if you overcomplicate it or try to figure out the big thing on your own, it can take a long time. But if you're like, number one, either if you just use somebody else's system and plug it in, which is what we help people do, great, you can get it up and running quickly and easily. Or if you don't mind figuring it out yourself, then just figure out what's the one or two little small things that you want and just get it up and running. And then you can always build cooler, bigger, badder stuff from there.
Yeah, totally. And just curious to know how within a product, you mentioned you can use it for your paying customers as well. How would you use that to deliver a better experience?
I'm going to give you an example that's a very advanced example.
Yeah, sure.
When we started working with Grant Cardone, he had a tremendous library of training, right? I called it Cardone University. It's it's legendary. And the cool thing about it is it had so many courses. I don't know, 60, 70, I don't know how many courses, so many. But the challenging thing was there's so many courses, you almost didn't know where to start. So we went in and built a chatbot that literally created a custom learning experience for people, made recommendations on what courses, and then held them accountable, had them set goals, had that set timeline, and just really coach them to success. We've got a chatbot that helps coaches. I mean, literally within a day or two, they can be up and running with a chatbot that not only helps with leads and sales, but also with accountability. So for example, if you're a coach, right, what does everybody need? I mean, you're never going to replace the human element, and that's not what this should be about. There's a lot of space in between. Let's just say that you coach somebody once every week or once every 2 weeks. There's a lot of space in between where people can go sideways. So we've got a chatbot, for example, that will check in with people at whatever increment you want or that they want. So say somebody's trying to quit smoking, check in on them every day and see how they're doing. And then if they have a bad check-in or they don't check in for a few days, can ping the coach and tell the coach to jump in and help. So we love any experience that bridges that human experience and creates more connection and helps people get their end desires result. A lot of it is, that what we do about leads and sales, but it's certainly not all about that.
No, that's incredible, because that's when you log into your Netflix or something, you're seeing like a personalized experience. But I guess this is even more because it's asking questions and stuff like that. So it's like, both the flow-based with the AI kind of working in synergy to give the best experience there, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it gamifies it.
Yeah.
So, you're at 95%, and, it's just...
That's incredible.
You can build anything you can imagine. But again, I don't want to, if you're going to do it on your own, I don't want to freak people out, because you can just start small and then go from there.
No, it's just interesting to know the different use cases from the very beginning, where you can just someone follows you, someone comments, and you just send them a hi, I'm thankful that you're here. Here's your ebook or something like that. That's what you mentioned in the beginning, right? I think that's an easy way to do it. But then I think we can talk a little bit about this, like the sales funnel part, which can happen via DM. So how do you take them through this path and actually get to the sale? Because you wanted to have the sales 24/7. So when you're sleeping or traveling or whatever, your chatbots are doing the hard work for you. And I guess you can have a human element to this as well, to come in when you're not there or something. Your team can check in and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it all depends on what you sell, obviously, right? Because you sell a $7 book different than a $15,000 coaching program. So
make something simple, maybe like a few $100s or something like that, like a normal course.
Well, it's funny because every price point kind of has its own experience, right?
Yeah, okay.
So if I was selling a $200 course, what I would do is I would immediately capture the lead. If you're doing that on Facebook, it's literally one click. Right. And then once you do that, now you've got the ability to communicate with them on Messenger and on Facebook. I might even collect their phone number as well. So then you've got 3 channels to communicate with them. So the problem is you send somebody to a page with a $200 course, 98% of them, if you're lucky, probably 99% of them are going to bounce and not buy the $200 course.
Right.
If they're coming from a chatbot experience, you can literally grab 3 pieces of information. Right now you can have this multi-channel follow-up. And then if I'm selling something for $200, they probably need to watch a pretty lengthy video or they need to see a lot of detail. I would send them to a web page to purchase that. Okay. And you can sell something for $7 inside of a chatbot, but for $200, there's still some more context that needs to happen. If you're selling a $10,000 program, you're going to want to book an appointment.
Get them a call, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. We build chatbots that literally book appointments without even having to go to a calendar. Hey, does Tuesday at 1 or Tuesday at 7 work better for you? Kind of thing.
Yeah. And they just like synced up to the calendar software, everything like via the automations, right? It's more advanced, but it's interesting. Yeah. I can imagine.
That's not an easy one. That's another advanced thing that we do that everybody does.
Yeah, no, I can see the use case for like done for you or like having someone implement this for you for sure. Yeah. It's like some part is more difficult, but I'm just thinking like for a virtual summit or something like that, when someone, because that might be a free summit. And if I was going to promote that on social media, I think that would be I guess a little bit similar to that $100 to $200 product as we are selling like a bundle in the back end. So I would actually send them, to that sales page to purchase. And we do get a really high conversion rate just from opt-in to the sale. That's what we always done. But I think with just adding chatbots to, if you have a social media strategy for it, I think that will do a lot better.
Yeah. And even if you don't start in the chatbot, you can also add the chatbot to your website.
That's right? True. Yeah.
It's just every time that you do that, you're just getting additional sales. So, sometimes people might have questions or they might want to know a little bit more. And it's just, once people engage, this to be true, and doesn't matter what it is, and just in life in general.
Yeah.
Once people start a conversation, they're going to be further along in that process.
No, I've always had the feeling with ManyChat that it was more for social media, but I know you can embed it onto your website. I've used other tools, but not like a chat tool on the website, more like for human support and things like that. So I guess that leads me on to a little bit the next thing, because if you're having like sales, like for a launch or something like that, how can you optimize this with the help of the AI, with the chatbots and everything that you do? Well, how can that help us?
There's so many ways that you can bake it in. You can literally have, if you're doing a launch and let's say you had an opt-in page, you can add it so that when somebody opts in with email, they could literally just check a box to get opted in to social as well, as they're opting in. That's one way you can do it. But the easiest way to do it, we helped out our friend Marisa Murgatroyd with her launch and kept it very, very simple. And was just basically like, after they registered, it was just like, do these 5 things. And thing number 4 was, come say hi to my chatbot. And then she was just building her chatbot list. And then whenever she was doing live webinars or whatever, that's just one more list to send out. And obviously it was smaller than her email list, but the numbers just work out in such a way where it's like, you might be able to get, you might have an email list of 10,000 and a chatbot list of 2,000 and still get more clicks from the 2,000 than you do the 10,000.
Yeah, no, that's how I started actually like a few years ago with this for a summit. And I was building that list. I must admit, I neglected it after, but I did get some great clicks and stuff like that from the chatbot, but then it was complicated to maintain some of it because I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but it was quite useful for getting people to the sessions and stuff like that. I must admit, it was actually was benefiting me.
And you probably quit when they changed the rules, right? And they said that you couldn't send messages.
No, I mean, I just used it for that summit, which was completely legit what I was doing. But then they changed the rules, I think. Yeah, that's what happened.
And since then, they've changed them again. And it's at a perfect place right now where people can opt in for your Instagram messages and for your Facebook messages with one click.
Do they do that? They have 2 different opt-ins for this, right? Or is the same?
Yeah, they're different,
right? It must be.
So if they're on Instagram, there's a button that pops up that's get Instagram messages. If they're on Facebook, it pops up.
Do you tag these usually in the system like different? So
You
they are
can.
from face. Okay, you can
Yeah,
tag
it
them.
doesn't
So you
need
know.
to. Like most systems will tag them for you. But
All
yeah.
right, interesting. Okay, that's very. It's the world of chatbots is so interesting.
Yeah.
Where do you think for the future of AI and chatbots, where things might be headed?
The reality of it, I do believe that, text message right now doesn't have buttons and that flow capability. I believe that it will. I believe you're going to start to be able to build these robust chatbots on iTunes and also on Google Android phones.
Okay.
But the reality of it is like, if you just look at it and where it's at right now, like if 1 year ago somebody would have said the most mind-blowing company in the world is going to be a chatbot company, you probably wouldn't have believed it. So where it's going is it's now here. If you stop and think about it, I still think it's less than 20% of Americans have ever used ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So it's still very early stage. So that means basically of the population, maybe 25% have ever used any kind of AI tool whatsoever. Okay. What percentage of the population has used the internet?
Yeah.
Probably darn near 100% of them. So what's going to happen is that AI has already been adopted for many years by large companies. I mean, it's just like you use your phone, you use Netflix, you use Google. It's all AI, right? But the thing is that little companies like mine, right, like ours, like if you're listening to this, probably have a little company or trying to help start a little company, or you're a part of a little company. Unlike the internet, when it got started, it was very difficult to adopt. Like it cost, I just remember spending all this money to get it, to build a website. It's not like that now. Like these AI platforms are so affordable and so easy to use. And there's platforms that you can build apps without even needing a coder. Like it's just, the world is crazy right now. So I don't know where the heck it's going to be. I just know that chat and AI is it's not even the future. It's like the now, and it's the hottest thing, and it's going to be for.
That leads us into actually the custom GPTs that were recently announced by OpenAI, and like people are already building like crazy on there. Even the platform went down a little bit. I've been building some simple GPTs on there, but a lot of companies like Canva and stuff like that, they are jumping onto this. So I don't know how that's playing a role in kind of what you are doing with in the world of chatbots, if that's going to kind of affect things, or if maybe that's going to have a clear use case for what you are doing.
Not really. I think it's great. I think they're great tools. You can build a wonderful tool on there for people, but the thing is that's still in their world. You need to figure out, if you're listening to this, you need to figure out how to get it into your world. So
that is the big con with the custom GPTs, how I feel it. And also there's a little bit, they could hack it. There was like a little bit that just came out recently with this as well. And, they could hack like what's been fed to the AI, basically the knowledge, and they could actually access the files, which was kind of a little bit strange. And something else is it's not really a controlled environment as much. You're training the model with maybe some of your data. So if you're having a course, I mean, that wouldn't be the best way to just give to the public. You're not going to be, most of creators are not going to be on the enterprise plan of ChatGPT. They are going to be on the plus plan maybe, and that's going to be feeding the model. Yeah, you can exclude it, but then you're not going to have, access to everything. So it's usually like you're training the model with your data when you're giving anything to ChatGPT, which is in my opinion, it's a con with doing things when you're using your own data, like from courses and things like that.
It's hard to say. I mean, the thing is that everybody's got their predictions on where it's going to go, but the thing is don't even worry about that. That's things for people with billions of dollars to worry about. Like somebody listening to this is like, damn, how do I just get this stuff working for me?
Yeah.
And how do I do it as fast as possible? And it's just, hopefully, if you got nothing else out of listening to this whole podcast, is don't delay. Like this is not going anywhere. It's not a maybe if, this is 100%. So if you know that, just how do you learn about it and then implement it as fast as you possibly can in a way that other people aren't doing it, in a way that's going to serve you and work for you and serve your people and your customers and work for your customers. It's you can be up and running for a lot less money and a lot less time than you think. And then once you're up and running, it goes forever. That's the beautiful thing about automation. You invest a little bit of time and money now, and it pays you back time and money forever.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. If you were to start from scratch today and everything is wiped out, but you have your knowledge, how would you use AI and I guess chatbots to have a competitive edge and advantage in your market to actually scale up your business again?
I would just do exactly what I'm doing right now. Like
Right?
100%. What I would do is probably come up with a very unique experience, right? That this is okay. So why does all this stuff really matter? If your business does less than $100 million a year, you probably don't care that much about saving 15% on your customer support costs, right?
Mm.
You don't care. You need a unique, cool way to drive people into something that is going to create a predictable result, right? And for many years, that was a sales funnel, and we still use funnels. Funnels are great. The thing that none of these gurus want to tell you is that conversion rates on funnels have continually gone down over the years. It's just a reality. People get sick of the same old, same old, same old. So what I would do is I would buy our program, right? And I would take one of the experiences. Say I wanted to get SEO clients. I would have an AI website analyzer, right? And what that does, or if it's coaching, get the accountability robot or whatever it is, right? Just create a unique experience. And that way you have something to send people into that's like, oh, that's cool and unique. I haven't really seen that. And then you generate leads, and then you use that AI and that automation to cultivate a relationship. And then you grow sales like that. If you're doing it the same way as everybody else, you're going to be banging your head against the wall for a minute.
Oh, that's great advice. And finally, was there any question that you wanted me to ask, but I didn't, or do you have any final words here?
Oh man, here's the deal: is AI sounds complicated. It really, for what you need to achieve, you being the person listening to this right now, there is nothing complicated about it. All right, you don't need to be listening to gurus who are telling you need a better prompt and you need to become a prompt engineer. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You need to figure out what's the tool that you can utilize AI, that you can put to work for you, that's going to help you do the most important things for your business. Because if it's not generating leads, it's not making sales, it's not supporting your customers, who gives a damn about it anyway? Okay. And the only way that I know how to do that with predictability and scalability is to utilize a chatbot that has AI at its core, but creates a very specific user experience for what it is that you want to create. So what would I do, Navid? If I'm just going to be very, very honest, I would go to botbuilders.com/Navid, Navid. And if we don't do business together, no problem, but just go there and learn, because I'm going to be able to show you. That's what I was able to do. Show you specific examples, demo this stuff, and you're going to learn a ton. And it's really going to open up that creativity about what's really possible with this technology.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in chatbots, how to build this stuff, Matt is the best in the world at this. That's why I brought him on here for the summit. I don't bring anyone on, so I completely endorse what he's doing with this. He's worked with some of the best people in the world when setting this up for them. So really enjoy this session as well, Matt. Thanks so much for taking the time and sharing some great value. If you enjoy this, leave your biggest takeaways in the comments below, and I'll leave a link to botbuilders.com/Navid as well in the description, so you can check it out there. And subscribe to the channel for more, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Peace.